This news program is proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Now Biscuits.
PNG Australia bilateral treaty agreement pending. Department of Agriculture and Livestock bans imported frozen chicken. And Rugby League star Jonathan Thurston arrives in PNG. A very good evening. You're watching National EMTV News. I'm Godwin Eki. Thank you for joining us. Foreign Affairs Minister Justin Tachenko has clarified in a media conference today that the Treaty for Bilateral Australia-PNG security signing did not eventuate when Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese recently visited. Minister Tachenko clarified that the treaty has been expanded to cater for other pressing issues affecting both countries.
Foreign Affairs Minister clarified today that the bilateral security treaty has been expanded before it will be fully ready for both prime ministers to sign. Minister Tachenko highlighted some pressing issues that will be included in this treaty.
Cybercrime, climate change is a security issue, money laundering, biosecurity, internal security within Papua New Guinea with our PNG our police force, gender-based violence.
Minister Tachenko explained that responsible authorities will work closely with Australian authorities to further enhance the security treaty before it is signed. The deadline of the new treaty signing will be on April 30th of this year, when both prime ministers will sign. Meanwhile, a ministerial forum on this bilateral treaty will be held in Canberra, Australia on the 17th of February, where a total of 9 state ministers will attend. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
With the closure of some Papua New Guinea foreign embassies in certain parts of the world, the National Executive Council in a meeting last week has approved the establishment of 4 new embassy missions to be set up in strategic countries around the world. This was revealed today by Foreign Affairs Minister Justin Tachenko.
A press conference hosted at the Foreign Affairs Office, Minister Tachenko announced to the nation that 4 new embassies will be established in the coming years.
So the new embassies that we will be establishing is in the state of Israel in Jerusalem. The second one is in the United Arab Emirates, the Kingdom of Thailand, Southeast Asia, a very important area. Thailand can offer us to connect to the rest of Southeast Asia. And the last one is Switzerland, Geneva.
Minister Tachenko clarified that appointments for ambassadors to these new embassy missions will be done later when diplomatic ties are firmly established. Extra funding will be allocated for 2024 and 2025 respectively for these new embassy missions to be fully established. Furthermore, Minister Tachenko said the department will continue to review other existing PNG missions abroad. Currently, there are 21 PNG foreign embassies abroad. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
The government has taken a step forward through the Department of Agriculture and Livestock to put a ban on the imported frozen chicken coming into the country. This comes through an advice from the National Agriculture and Quarantine Inspection Authority to protect the country's poultry from diseases that may come from the imported chicken.
According to the Minister for Agriculture, Aya Tambua, a disease believed to be the avian influenza, a disease of the birds, have been affecting parts of Asia in the last months. He said if the country is not careful, it will affect the poultry as well as people in the country.
The government is concerned that if the disease comes into the country, it will really kill the industry. Our poultry industry in the country is it's worth almost $1 billion kina industry. Other countries, they can survive when they have bad flus like that. They can go in and the government can come in and assist them. But for us, it's really hard. We don't have the capacity to really assist our farmers.
According to reports by the World Health Organization, cases of avian influenza have affected people in the Western Pacific, with deaths being reported in the last 2 months, with recent cases in January of this year. The ban put on this imported frozen chicken has its side effects. Minister Tamboa said in the next few months there will be shortage of chicken with high demands and high prices.
Within the next 3 or 4 months there will be supply shortage, but they will make up for it as time goes on. So that's the two immediate impact that the country will have in the next 3 or 4 months when we announce this ban.
On the other hand, Tamboa said the two major poultry industry in PNG will benefit from it. The government through this ban will see the demand for local chicken to increase, employment opportunities and local SMEs benefit.
Our local SMEs will now benefit more. Farmers in Ley, Morobe, Makam, these people will now be able to have more chicken houses. They will expand more. The farmers in the islands will now be able to look after more chicken because there is demand for more chicken. So our SME space will now develop.
The minister also noted that a total of around 200 million kina foreign exchange can be saved through this ban. He clarified that the ban is only for the frozen chicken and not for the mechanical deboned chicken used on food products like biscuits. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
The government stands committed to its word to support the agriculture and livestock sector in the country. For this year 2023, a total of around 50 million kina has been allocated to the sector to roll out price support and freight subsidiary programs to support local farmers.
Much attention has been given to the agriculture sector, hence a lot of funding has been secured for this year alone to roll out the price support and freight subsidiary programs. Today, the minister responsible for agriculture, Aya Tamboa, presented 3 checks to the coconut, cocoa and coffee boards to start with their price support rollout for this year.
So the check for coffee industry is 1.5 million, for cocoa is 1 million. This is checks now presentation will officially kickstart the launching of the price subsidy program and the freight subsidy program for all our farmers in cocoa and copra and coffee now. So the government wants to start here with a big bang, not really a big bang, but a bang to really assist our farmers.
The price support scheme is the initiative of the government to put money into people's pockets.
We have to continue with that price support incentive program for this year. This program was initiated to support prices of all commodities across the country. This is contributing to one of the PM's intervention that to take back PNG and to take back our land through agriculture.
The other commodity to receive price support will be rubber. Minister Tamboa also clarified that the price support and freight subsidiary is for all commodities in the agriculture sector. The price support and freight subsidiary started back in 2020 and has supported many cocoa, coconut, coffee and rubber farmers. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
The University of Goroka Vice-Chancellor Dr. Theng Maniga revealed that the tuition fee for the 2023 academic year will remain the same. He said all the students who will be attending the university this year have to pay 60% of the total fees to register.
Dr. Waniga pointed out that last year was a challenging year, applying more pressure on the circumstances in COVID-19 pandemic, national general election, tribal fights in the surrounding communities, and the recent 6.7 magnitude earthquake that occurred and damaged the dormitories, but the university managed to end the academic year well. He said all dormitories remain damaged and there is a need for funding to cater for temporary accommodation for students this year. He said the state owes the university 4 to 5 million kina under TESS and the higher education loan program. Students who qualify under TESS will have to pay 16,242 kina for residential, while non-residential will be charged with 2,947 kina. Boarding and lodging self-sponsored students will pay 13,232 kina, while non-residential fees stand at 4,373 kina. However, Dr. Waniga stressed that similar fees are applied to Year 2 to Year 4 students. It ranges between 2,000 and 13,000 depending on the status of the students, while postgraduate and international students pay higher. He thanked the surrounding communities and other stakeholders for their generosity and support and look forward to start this 2023 academic year on a positive note. Estagane, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to National EMTV News. The International Transport Workers Federation Asia Pacific Charter (PNG) today welcomed a representative from Sydney, Australia, Scott McDine. McDine has travelled into Port Moresby ahead of the ITF workshop that is scheduled to take place this week, Tuesday.
The international body representing workers in the transport sector in the country, International Transport Federation (PNG) Charter, will run a workshop this week under the support and guidance of the International Transport Federation representatives from Thailand and Australia. Today, ITF PNG Charter welcomed a representative to PNG, Scott McDine, who, with the support of his Asia Pacific colleagues, will conduct the workshop in Port Moresby, where certain aspects of the aviation and energy regulations and employer welfare to benefits and issues in the sector will be discussed.
The purpose of ITF is to represent transport workers and promote their interests throughout global campaign and solidarity, and to defend the fundamental human and trade union rights representing our land, sea, air transport workers.
McDine, in his statement, said workers in the transport industry are the force around moving the world forward in terms of generating the economy despite the many challenges.
The International Transport Workers Federation represents over 20 million workers globally. And in the Asia Pacific region alone, there are nearly 200 unions who are affiliated to the ITF.
Representing the PNG Air Workers Union, Bartholomew Bill said the workshop will be important for the workers in the transport industry.
I believe this training will help us to direct our unions in future beyond how to help our members in these tough times.
On behalf of the Energy Workers Union in PNG, Senti Magis, upon welcoming the international guest, said the workshop is vital for workers in the transport sector in PNG, not only to upskill and meet international standards, but also to be aware of their benefits and welfare.
The workforce in the transport sector and energy. And energy, we've had support from the ITF and the Australian Council of Trade Union in the past when we had workplace disputes in the energy sector.
The International Transport Federation workshop will take place on Tuesday, where workers from various unions such as the energy sector, including oil and gas, Puma, airlines, shipping and land transportation, will meet.
Thank you. Thank you.
Meanwhile, Scott McDine from International Transport Workers Federation Asia Pacific said ITF was badly affected by COVID-19. He said moving forward, ITF is now trying to touch base with its affiliated unions around the world to not only stay connected, but also to be efficient.
Since the COVID-19 pandemic in the early 2019 and 2020 to 2021, the International Transport Federation and its union and affiliates globally were badly affected. Scott McDine from ITF Asia Pacific said the aviation and energy sector, together with both the sea and land transport worldwide, were affected. He said the pandemic affected the well-being and welfare of the staff across the globe, where communication was very minimal, which in turn affected the staff in various unions.
Importance that transport workers have in the roles that they play in a global environment, and the capacity now for us to be able to come back, re-engage with our affiliates. Sure, it's great to be able to talk to people in Zoom meetings. It's great to be able to have audio messenger and talk to people on the phone and have meetings that way. But the practical engagement of being able to do workshops face-to-face and being able to do the training face-to-face. And it also shows the solidarity.
He further alluded that the transport industry is the force around moving the world forward. He said despite COVID-19 there was minimal movement, but ITF workers around the world still had to make sure that all forms of transport, air, sea and land, were available for the public to freely move around, and also the business environment in the world to keep the economy afloat despite many challenges. Senti Magis from Energy Workers Union in PNG said ITF PNG charter was also badly affected, where workers in various unions in the country had to deal with. He said there were workers who lost their jobs and even affected their well-being.
Where we see that we have been having problems, international way of handling workers' dispute can be an help to us. And as the PNG charter, the National Alliance, PNG Air and Energy, we look forward to what we can get from the number of or sessions of training that will be taking place, and we look forward to how we can work as a team.
He added that COVID-19 for ITF came at a time when no one expected the challenges it brought upon them, let alone not being able to prepare well for the global pandemic. Magis said with ITF Asia Pacific members now in the country to conduct a workshop for its affiliated unions, it is a good start to 2023 and also to help boost the interest and confidence in the workers across the board. He said the training this week will help the workers in the transportation sector, including the airlines, shipping and land transport, as well as the energy sector, to not only appreciate their work, but at the same time upskill their level of knowledge to meet international standards. A female law and order issue vocalist from Hela and the marketing coordinator of MAPEX Training Institute, Janet Patricia Thomas, is volunteering in reaching out to all the communities to advocate for young men and women to be the wind of change in all communities in Hela province. With the mission to stop fighting and learn a trade, she is advocating for youths to stop fighting and get involved in agriculture, education, church and sporting activities.
Ms. Janet Thomas is advocating for a second chance in education, giving second opportunities to school dropouts and educating them on life skills so they become better persons in their communities for a peaceful Hela province now and in the years to come. She stressed that she is just a female trying to reach out to the youths of Hela province, and she needs support from concerned authorities such as the Hela provincial government, all Hela members of parliament, the national government agencies, community leaders, educated elites, and of course the developers of oil and gas operations out of Hela province to come on board and support her in driving this mission. She highlighted that Hela province has been drawing a bad picture in the country, and she is trying very best to change that perception for a better Hela. She also stated that as part of this mission, MAPEX Training Institute was established in Hela province this year for the first time that will provide education opportunities for the youth. Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2840 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.2765 $0.3930 Australian dollars, $0.2477 euro, 34.84 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York closed, gold is trading lower, coffee closed higher, Cocoa closed higher, copra closed lower, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, copper closed lower. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. The Queensland Rugby League legend and former Cowboys Jonathan Thurston is in Port Moresby and made a visit to the Phone House team as its ambassador at the Rangeview Plaza in Port Moresby today. Jonathan Thurston will be in Port Moresby for a couple of days before returning home to Australia.
All the staff at the Phone House outlet at Rangeview Plaza were all smiles when Jonathan Thurston paid a visit this afternoon. The marketing manager of Phone House, Sulei Toguata, said they are so excited to meet Jonathan Thurston in person and thanked him for his visit. She said his visit is basically to support the growth of their staff in terms of inspiring and promoting the staff.
His visit this time is basically to support the growth of our staff. So emerging leaders, we've recognised over 30 of our staff who have shown leadership qualities, and his involvement this time coming up is to inspire and to promote that growth amongst our staff. So, as his visit up here just affirms what we as a brand stand for, having the best in the country, best products, best customer service, best staff. So the company as a staff being here, we're just excited to be part of a brand that really promotes and supports the development of our people in our nation, and learning from someone who inspires and aspires to be the best. This is what we hope to give back to our staff as a great brand in PNG.
The Queensland Rugby League legend Jonathan Thurston said he is so excited to be in PNG and he is looking forward to visiting Lae as well. He said he was here 8 months ago and it's good to be back again. He will also be advocating to communities about family and sexual violence in PNG.
Got a whole week here, looking forward to going to Lae, doing the emerging leaders as well. It's great that Phone House as a company are investing in their staff to make their staff go to the next level for their company. So I'm excited about that, and obviously there's some synergies and some values that we share personally with Phone House. Go and visit the community centres of sexual and family violence. So I'm looking forward to doing that as well. So yeah, whilst I'm here, if you see me out on the street, come and say hello, come and take a photo.
Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
Moving to overseas news now, and big rainfalls are continuing to come in for parts of central and North Queensland, particularly around Bowen and Proserpine, over half a litre in the last 2 days, and more than a metre is expected once the system passes.
Spots. So that rain will continue to come down, particularly over the next 24 hours with thunderstorms and strong winds near the Central Coast and the Whitsunday regions. Emergency services are urging residents to follow warning advice after 3 people were rescued from floodwaters yesterday.
It's been very wet, very wet, and a lot of us have been cut off either from town or leaving town. So yeah, a bit isolated, but enjoying the nice cooler weather.
Yeah, so where do you live in relation to Clermont, and just how much rain has fallen where you are?
So we're just north. Literally, as you drive into town, we've been watching the Sandy Creek and the Sandy Creek Bridge go over on Friday night. So we were cut off from 10:30. They closed the bridge till 8:30 the next morning. So we're just watching that. We've measured nearly over 300 mils just in our little rain gauge here.
Wow, and what's since you've been living in Clermont, is that the biggest you've seen?
Yeah, for sure. This is our second wet season. Last year wasn't so bad, but this is the first time it's really impacted our family, with kids being stuck at other properties, us not being able to get our son to work. So yeah.
At least 23 people have died and many more have been injured after a Russian missile attack destroyed a residential block in the eastern city of Dnipro in Ukraine.
The Dnipro has learnt to cope with constant threat. Being 120 miles from the front line isn't enough to escape moments like this. The cause is obvious, the damage plain to see. But what disappears immediately are entire lives. The rescue continued as flames were put out and night arrived, as well as the realization of what had happened.
What have you done to my son? You're evil. I curse you and future generations of your families. May you animals be cursed for the rest of your lives by everyone.
There is anger and occasional hope. Is anyone alive? Ask rescuers. Here, here, they shout. The cranes shut down. Today has brought more breakthroughs, but the number of dead will go up with time. The Dnipro is a reminder of how ordinary people can end up in harm's way despite Russia's likely target being nearby infrastructure. This was nevertheless an attack on the whole of the country. After a relative respite of 2 weeks, Moscow has resumed its tactic of trying to deny Ukrainians energy during the height of winter.
Among the victims of the plane crash in the pool, at least 68 people died. The crash happened yesterday in a tourist town of Pokhara as the Yeti Airlines was close to landing after a short flight from Kathmandu.
At least 68 people died when this Yeti Airlines aircraft crashed into rugged terrain in Pokhara in central Nepal yesterday evening. We know that one Australian was amongst the 72 passengers on board this flight that left Kathmandu before it crashed near the international airport, a new international airport in Pokhara, which has only been operational for some 2 weeks. Footage from the crash site shows hundreds of rescue workers scouring the rubble and the debris, searching for survivors. The debris is smouldering and there is thick plumes of smoke emerging from the site. One video posted online on social media appears to show the plane turning to its side mid-air before crashing into the ground. Last night, the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade said that it was aware of reports that an Australian was on board this flight, and it said that the embassy was urgently seeking to confirm the welfare of that individual, but for privacy reasons would not be releasing any additional details. We know that there were 15 foreign nationals on board this flight, including people from India, Russia, South Korea, Argentina and France. Now, one official described how difficult it was for rescue workers to actually get to the crash site. Witnesses say that the aircraft essentially split in two, debris was strewn across a hillside and also landed.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. During a staff meeting today conducted by PNG Sports Foundation in partnership with the High Performance Committee, PNG SF Executive Director highlighted that this year his team will go rural in order to go global, especially in their sporting outreach. Mr. Veretau says this is one of the key focus areas that the Sports Minister is targeting, is to go rural to go global.
Part of the focus areas of the meeting conducted today by PNG Sports Foundation at the St. John Gais Indoor Complex was to discuss their outreach to the most rural communities of the country. PNG Sports Foundation Executive Director Albert Veretau, in his keynote speech today during the staff meeting, emphasized on the possible approaches that PNG SF can tap into. One of the pathways is for them to engage with village councillors who are in a better position to provide updates where needed. Mr. Veretau also added that social media has become a place where issues of concerns are being raised without being properly addressed. For the 2023 working year, he strongly emphasized that his team will focus on addressing these issues, especially where sporting development is concerned. The rural communities in the country make up the bulk of the country's population where raw talents are breeding. Therefore, Veritao is looking forward to working closely with the village councillors through the PNG Sports Foundation to bring sporting development to the doorsteps of these up-and-coming raw talents.
But those two key strategies are heart and soul for us. We're not doing anything else. We will be doing Go Rural, Go Global, and building technical capacity in schools. What's the space? There will be invitations coming out for us to move.
This Go to Rural to Go Global strategy is also a development pathway that the Minister for Sports is currently focusing at to make sports a way of living. There should be a shift of mindset seen in the rural communities where especially youths are engaged in sporting activities to mitigate lawlessness within the country. Lisa Puni, Chukai Sports.
The Vanagi volleyball tournament completed its pre-season finals yesterday afternoon at the Vanagi village, Koki. The competition has been graced with the presence of national volleyball reps who also took part in the 8 participating clubs, which saw participants performing exceptionally well throughout this 2 weeks long tournament.
The Vanagi village witnessed its volleyball competition wind down yesterday for all its divisions. Also present during the grand finals playoff to witness the games was tournament president Demas Elaitia. President Elaitia highlighted the general progress of the tournament leading up to the grand finals.
Especially teams that took part and also the players that also took part. Some of the kids are drug addicted, and when we started to do this competition, run the competition, the kids that just roaming around once, they took part in this tournament as well. The ones that are drug addicted and the ones that are also drunkard ones.
The competition commenced with 8 registered clubs under the men's and the women's divisions. 4 clubs made it to the finals to compete in each of the divisions. The presentation structure of the grand finalists was further detailed by Elaitia.
Going into the competitions, we're trying to run a competition, and this is our pre-season. We're starting our pre-season. We have about 8 teams. So then we divide those money into 2 divisions, and the finals they are playing now, we'll pay them out with that money that we collect from game fees and also from the affiliation fee which they.
The aim of the tournament is to give the Vanagi community the opportunity to work collaboratively and interact with each other. Elaitia also stated that he is aiming at offering exposure to the participants going forward at the national and international levels. In his concluding remarks, Elaitia thanked the Vanagi community for their collaboration and continued support throughout the tournament right up to its grand finals. Lisa Puni, Chukai Sports.
CEO for PNG Sports Foundation, Albert Veritao, today challenged the department heads and their staff to make Team PNG a winning team come 2023 Pacific Games.
Having won 3 Pacific Games on home soil by Team PNG, PNG Sports Foundation CEO has challenged Team PNG to win the Pacific Games in 2023, saying that PNG has performed outstandingly well in country but needs to win a game abroad. He said with the 2023 Pacific Games taking place at the country's doorstep in the Solomon Islands, training in the lead-up to the Games will be vital in preparing the athletes, coaches and the support staff that will accompany the team to the Games in November. He said PNG needs to make a mark somewhere and the time is now. He challenged his staff and department heads to work together with various sporting federations in the country and help their athletes by giving them the maximum benefit they require. Alluding to Mr. Veritao's remarks was Director for PNG High Performance, Cornelius Papau.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the CEO Albert Veritao for his remarks, and it's very challenging. very strategic also for us. I mean, winning a game offshore is a very big challenge and a very big shoe to fill. So, as I said, we need our staff, the team behind the team, staffs, not just in Port Moresby, but also in Lae and NSI to be very well equipped. Not just that, but also.
Team PNG will attend the 2023 Pacific Games in the Solomon Islands come November this year.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports. Moving to overseas sports now, the Australian Wallabies have sacked current coach Dave Rennie and have resigned Jenny Mend and former coach Eddie Jones.
Australian rugby. No one saw this coming today. There was no chat about this. Yes, there's been chat about Eddie Jones maybe taking over from Dave Rennie because he was sacked as England coach, potentially coming in as a director of rugby. But today, to wake up to the news that Dave Rennie is gone, effective immediately, and Eddie Jones, former coach of the Wallabies, is back and he's signed until 2027 is massive news for rugby. As you said, 8 months out from the World Cup, Eddie Jones comes in. Dave Rennie, he only won 13 out of 34 tests with Australia and he had a rough time with injuries, that's for sure. And before we go on to talk about Eddie Jones, because I think this is a massive coup for Australian rugby, before we discuss that, Karina, just a shout out to Dave Rennie, who was so amazing to deal with down through the years. I remember one time I was due to interview him and a family member died. He still made it to that interview because he knew the importance of promoting rugby in this country. So credit to him. He is such a good human being and we hope he's doing okay because no doubt, Karina, it was his dream to coach Australia at the Rugby World Cup. But instead, it will be Eddie Jones. Can you believe it? He coached the Wallabies from 2001 to 2005, including that 2003 Rugby World Cup final, which we don't like to speak of too much, Karina, because it includes that Johnny Wilkinson drop goal that we refuse to ever play on News Channel during our chats. At least we can't control other people, but we won't have it in one of our bulletins. So Eddie Jones is back. Now this is going to be a dramatic change of style in coaching for Wallabies players. They're going to go from what I would call affectionate love. That's what we hear about Dave Rennie. He was all about making connections within the group.
Without Serena Williams, Ash Barty or Roger Federer, there is still plenty to look forward to at the Australian Open as it begins today in Melbourne.
Rafael Nadal is playing during the day against a really plucky Brit, Jack Draper. He's 21 years old. He's only been on the tour for 6 months. Despite that, he will not be easy to beat. On the women's side of the draw, the women's world number one, Iga Swiatek, who won 2 Grand Slams in 2022. She was so dominant. She plays tonight, but Jessica Pegula, the American, she is one of a group of a few women who are already through to the second round in straight sets. Now, she had a really interesting defeat of Iga Swiatek in the United Cup. Has she figured out Iga Swiatek? She lost to her 4 times in 2022. She is now through to the second round in straight sets, as is Coco Gauff, as is Emma Raducanu. Guess who's also through? Olivia Gadecki. This is the Australian wildcard. She was taking on Polina Kudermetova.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Southern region, Port Moresby, mostly cloudy with chances of patchy rain. Daru, mostly cloudy, evening rain drizzles. Kerema and Alatau, cloudy periods with few showers and thunderstorm. Popondetta, few showers and thunderstorm, then cloudy. In the Mamase region, Ley, cloudy periods with evening showers and rain drizzles. Medang, cloudy periods with few showers and thunderstorm. Wiwe, cloudy periods with brief evening showers. Vanimo, partly cloudy. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau and Kimbe, partly cloudy with brief showers and possible thunderstorm. KV and Kokopo, Rabaul and Buka, mostly fine, partly cloudy. In the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, evening rain showers and thunderstorm. Goroka and Kundiawa, cloudy with evening patchy rain. Mendi and Wabe, cloudy with evening rain drizzle. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daru to Kiwai Islands to Kerema to Yule Island to Hood Point to Samurai Islands, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Samurai Islands to Cape Vogel and eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters north of Cape Vogel to Ewan Gulf to Finschhafen, seas 0.3 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Finschhafen through Vitis Dampier Straits to CSE and Long Islands, seas 1 to 2 meters. Waters of Long Island to Medang to Bogia to Wewak to Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, seas 0.3 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of New Ireland to East New Britain and Bougainville, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of West New Britain, seas 1 to 2 meters. Ocean forecast, Coral Sea, seas slight to moderate northwest winds of 10 to 20 knots. Solomon Sea, seas slight to moderate northwest winds of 10 to 20 knots. Prismac Sea, seas slight northwest winds of 10 to 15 knots. And Pacific Ocean, seas smooth to slight northeast to easterly winds of 5 to 15 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Monday, the 16th of January 2023. From all of us here, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.